Ladies and gents, as we speak, the mandatory 2.75% SHA taxation has been declared null and void. Let me just read for you a snippet of Justice Chacha Mwita's ruling, and I quote. Now, this is an article from the Kenya Times, written by Joy Kwama. On to the body. In his judgment on a petition at the High Court, Justice Mwita held that deducting SHIF contributions from an employee's gross income after income tax has already been applied is a violation of tax law. And they go on to quote the justice. Now, from here on, henceforth, I'll just read what the justice had to say, quote for quote. I must point out here that the mandatory 2.75% contribution to the fund is indeed problematic. Every citizen is required to pay income tax under the Income Tax Act, being a percentage of the person's gross income. Income refers to money a person earns for doing work, or money received from one's investments. Income tax is paid from the person's gross income, and after paying income tax from that gross income, what remains is net. In that regard, by providing that a person contributes 2.75% of his or her gross income to the fund after paying income tax from the same gross income, the regulation introduces a negative element of taxation, which is double taxation, and would as a result make such a regulation unlawful. Before we even proceed, let's just give Justice Chacha Mwita a round of applause. Anywho, in this video I want us to look into the government's reaction to this ruling and also what this ruling means moving forward, because it does have ramifications, and with no further ado, let's get after it. Now, as usual, we all know our government ni kichwa ngumu and it doesn't respect court orders like the other first world governments. So despite the legal loss, according to the Ministry of Health, SHA deductions are legally in force and are recognized by law. Now my question is, which law? A court ruling has declared it null and void. So which law is Aden Duale or the Ministry of Health talking about? From where I sit after Justice Chacha Mwita gave this ruling, provided it is not appealed and overturned in the Court of Appeal or Supreme Court for that matter, all employers should stop remitting this thing. Even the employees should stop paying this thing. And forget even the employees in the private sector. We are talking about government staff. If you are working in the Ministry of Health, if you are working in the Ministry of Trade and Industrialization, if you are working in gender and whatever, you should not be deducted these funds. That is if we are a government that respects the rule of law. Because this is what we call highway robbery. Na ni tabia ambayo most of the private schools usually do to parents. Unaambiwa school fees is 80,000. Na kwa hiyo 80 wameka transport, there is lunch, there is tuition fees, there is so on and so forth. Umelipa 80,000. Huku katikati, they start coming up with other short stories. Unaambiwa, oh, there is culture day. Your child must be bought for this and that. Hiyo iko kwa school fees, hujajipanga na vitu kama hizo. But fortunately, for these private schools, it is optional. If the children are going to Masai Mara for a trip, wewe kama mzazi, if you don't have the money, unaweza chukua mtoto wako umpeleke mahali ingine during that day. But the government is making it mandatory. You have already paid. Then they want you to pay again for SHA. Na ulijenga nyumba. Remember, we are not all the same. There are senior citizens, and you don't even have to be a senior citizen. Bora tu umejipanga pole pole. You have worked, you have bought land, umejenga nyumba. Ama umeinherit nyumba ya wazazi. Or you have bought an apartment. Or you are comfortable wherever you are. Or maybe you're not even in the country. Na unalazimishwa na serikali kufanya affordable housing. How is that justice? Someone else has taken a loan to go and construct their house. Hata hujamaliza kulipa mortgage. You are paying for your own home. You are paying for somebody else's home. And even if you are interested in that home, you must come again and pay for that home. That is what we call conmanship. Even when we move to Medicare, there are people who prefer to use cash. Hawataki insurance. They don't want to wait for approvals. Unaenda kusign pre-authorization form, kusign claim form. You wait for approval. They give you partial approval or no approval for that matter, or a delayed approval. You hang around the hallway of the hospital for around 6 hours. And there are those who want insurance, but they'd rather go for private insurance. They want to go for Jubilee, Britam, Madison, and so forth. So you cannot make national insurance mandatory for everybody. I understand there's benefits, but there's liabilities for others. Mtu wako 22 akona haja na insurance ya SHA, ama akona haja na mambo ingine, anataka pesa ya biashara. We want more justices like Chacha Mwita. Na yule ataenda ku-overturn in the next court. That is the greatest enemy of progress. And we must go and check huyu amewekewa pesa ngapi kwa account. Because it cannot be that the higher courts in the judiciary are so clever. They should all be streamlined. Because I believe huyu mwenye ako huku chini ametumia wisdom and reasoning to reach that verdict. And if you're also of sound mind, you will consider their ruling and you might also reach the same verdict. The same way all courts walisema BBI ni bure. Ilianza High Court wakasema bure. Court of Appeal bure. Supreme Court they upheld the same thing. But when you see the High Court and the Court of Appeal are in agreement and the Supreme Court wanafanya opposite, you know what that means. I don't have to say it. Anywho, that's just my take on the matter, guys. Here's today's ad of the day. If you have an upcoming event, be it a wedding, a polite function, or even a birthday, make sure to reach out to bouncers with degrees. These guys are elite professionals that always deliver. In fact, let me just walk you through their catalog because it's quite extensive. So bouncers with degrees offer VVIP and VIP protection, escort protection. They can double up as bodyguards. They offer hotel and restaurant bouncers. They offer wedding and burial security. They offer public event security. They can even offer professional drivers if needed to pair up with the security. They offer private security, perhaps on your property or wherever it is you need them to be, they'll be there. They also offer gym instructors because the entire crew is fit. That's how you make the cut to join this team. Now, if you're in need of services from bouncers with degree, you can reach out to them at 0700 491 645 or 0711 206 324. Or if you're old school like myself and you prefer using emails, just so that you can have access to paper trail, you can reach out to them at bouncerwithdegree@gmail.com. And with that, if you're here for the first time, please go on and hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching for a different platform, just head on over to YouTube, search for MZitowafula, hit the subscribe button. You're going to be getting a ton of content of this nature. If politics is something you're passionate about, this is definitely the one channel that you really need to subscribe to. Alright guys, adios. Thank you for choosing MZitowafula as your primary news platform. We put countless hours in research, recording, and editing. By showing up each and every day to watch our videos, you encourage us to generate more videos for the viewers. We are on a mission to inform, educate, and build a better tomorrow. To our thousands of followers in a world full of presidents, kings, and queens, you are the real gem. Adios.